Welcome, new Templars. I'm 𝕯�𝖚𝖚, aka 𝕯���𝖚𝖚 the Mapmaker. This is going to be my fifth video related to the conflict in Iran and its connection to the global conflict between the White Hats and the Deep State. I have been refining my understanding of this, and I do feel that in the past week, a lot of things have come into a better clarity for me and for everyone that's really paying attention to this. Obviously, there's still a lot of debate, a lot of Trump haters, especially in the conservative podcast space and even the conspiracy podcast space. But those who have been following Q from the beginning should probably be comfy cozy with everything that's going on and all the signals that we've been getting, because we have gotten some very strong signaling from the Maestro just since my last video. I think that was last Wednesday. There's been some major developments. So just to do a brief high-level overview of where I'm at with this Iran war, I have 6 major reasons for the war, and they all kind of filter through different levels of perception. Number one, on the most basic level, there was actually a direct nuclear threat from Iran via the Deep State planning to use Iranian nuclear weapons for some kind of a mass terrorism event to bring in World War III. So that had to be eliminated. But I don't think that that was the main objective, because I feel that could have been eliminated through intelligence and black operations. It does not really explain everything going on with like the countrywide effect that this is having, including the new blockade that Trump is imposing. Let me make sure that I'm live over here on Rumble. It's not exactly updating. So number 2 is the Iran war as a proxy war with China, which actually was our primary military adversary in the world, and possibly the main adversary that the Deep State, the New World Order, intended to have win World War III, take over America, and bring their communism and their social credit system to America. Number 3 is the proxy war with Israel. Although Israel appears to be our ally, and some even say have instigated this war with Iran, on a deeper level, you could see this as Israel is taking all the bombardment. I mean, our bases in the Middle East are taking a bombardment as well from Iran, but Israel is taking permanent bombardment to their infrastructure, their military, depleting their defensive resources during this conflict. And so this could be a buttering Israel up, essentially, for Israel for a final decapitation blow, whether that would come from Turkey or Iran or the US or an internal revolution is yet to be seen. But I'm going to speak more on all of these subjects later. This is just the high-level overview. But 3 is the proxy war with Israel. 4 is the proxy war with the City of London and the global Deep State. I have heard that Lloyd's of London is who insures all these ships going to and from the Strait of Hormuz. And so it's really Lloyd's of London, by denying ships insurance, that is responsible for most of the economic disruption, as opposed to Iran. Number 5 is securing the world situation geopolitically before we have major unrest at home in the USA. And when major arrests start happening, the arrests that we have anticipated since 2017, since was promised to us back in 2016 in the debate between Trump and Hillary, when he said, "You would be in jail if I was president." And so we don't want to have any surprises coming from outside of our country at a time when our country seems to be a little bit on the rocks. We're not sure exactly what will happen when the mass arrests do happen here, but we could expect activation of BLM, Antifa, No Kings, possibly foreign sleeper cells from illegal immigrants that have come in. And what we really don't want during that time is big conflicts popping off, China attacking us, or, Iran attacking Israel at that time. And so we're kind of nipping some of the global conflicts in the bud before we are appearing in a weakened state at home in the US due to civil unrest or, civil upheaval from these arrests that we all anticipate are coming. Number 6, which kind of goes with number 4 and number 5, but that this is part of a larger global reset. And that's one of the main comms or like things that have happened in the past week that I want to discuss in this video is Trump's tweet with just the words, "World's most powerful reset." And that really confirmed a lot for me. There's a lot of different layers to the reset as well. I mean, it's a full reset, but there is, a military reset, political reset, a financial reset, an economic reset. And, this is the map that you want for that. The D.S.M.P map talks a lot about the financial reset, but it's also tied in with the politics and economics. And so for Trump to put out that tweet saying world's most powerful reset was a very strong confirmation. And there was some other visual cues we got this week as well, which is later in my notes, but I do want to mention him walking up the steps of Air Force One and dropping the umbrella on the floor was a major comm to me. Now, it would be nice if I had a video of that, but I'm sure you guys have seen it. He was going up Air Force One in the rain, up the steps, holding an umbrella, and he very strangely just drops the umbrella open on the floor upside down before walking into the plane. And then 2 of his other staffers come up. The second staffer actually picks up the umbrella, closes it like a normal person, and brings it into the plane. But the way he did that seemed very intentional. And to me, that was even a comm like saying the storm is over, because if you type in storm in your emojis, you literally get the umbrella with the rain hitting it as one of the emojis for storm. So for him to drop it, it's inverted on the ground. To me, that's a comm that the storm is over. Now, obviously, the storm isn't completely over, but with a lot of the other signaling we've been seeing, such as building the triumphant arch, having the 250-year celebration, I do think that we are getting signs that the storm is close to ending. And, even when we're talking about the arrests happening in the USA, I believe, as well as a lot of other in the Q community, do believe that these arrests have already happened. We're just watching a replay of things. Even a lot of this Iran war could be a dramatization, a reenactment, a pantomime of actual moves that have already happened. And so for him to drop the umbrella like that and put out the world's most powerful reset are comms that I'm interpreting as the storm is really over. We're just watching it play out to the public so people can understand what has happened. And so we're going to get into all of that and more in this video. I mean, that was, I think, a pretty good high-level overview justification for this. I'm obviously not a panicking over here, and I think that's a pretty good case of why everything we're seeing is, like a pantomime or very much under control. I mean, just look at Trump's attitude. Like, he's making jokes about everything. He's posting memes of himself. Even also, I think everyone should be following Poppy Trump on X, even though it is displayed as a parody account. People have asked him if he is Poppy Trump in person at rallies, and he said, "I think so," quote. And so I think Poppy Trump is one place where we can get a little peek into, what Trump is really thinking. Of course, that's very comedic. It's like a parody, obviously, but I think it is also really what he is thinking and feeling about a lot of things. I mean, it's not posting like sophisticated commentary, but it's poking fun at a lot of things. But just in general, he does not seem to be super stressed out, like concerned the way you would think someone would be that was either in a major conflict that could be potentially being lost in the Middle East, or in a even bigger conflict with the deep state globally, where, we're taking down a 5,000-year-old death cult. He doesn't seem stressed really about either of those reasons. He seems to be taking everything so lightly that, again, that is more evidence to me that this conflict against the deep state has already been fought and won, and we're seeing some sort of like a reenactment or a pantomime that is bringing the results of that conflict into the public sphere. So I also want to kick this video off with 2 short reels that I have found on X and on Instagram that I think did a really good job of explaining the potential of this Iran conflict being a proxy war with China. And so I don't usually like to use other people's words, but these 2 reels put together the case so nicely that I think they're worth sharing here, and they're both very short. So I'm going to share them, and maybe I might pause them throughout and add some additional comments in there. But here we go. These are, and I'm not even sure. The first one I have no idea who to credit to. The second one, I do believe there's a credit in the top right corner, but whoever made these reels did a very good job of making the case for this proxy war with China. And just on a personal note, I'm feeling a lot better this week. I was under the weather last week. I'm over, what I think was a cold plus allergies. Now I'm down to just allergies. And my mother has encouraged me to take Zyrtec and Flonase, and the Zyrtec's making me extremely drowsy. So I was literally like having to pull my head up off the desk to make this video, but we're going to try to keep the energy high for this video. So let's check out these 2 short reels in relation to the proxy war with China.
Okay, so what if Trump is not an idiot? What if losing the war in Iran is exactly the plan? Let me show you something the media will never tell you. So everyone is saying Trump is destroying America. He is fighting an unwinnable war in Iran. He is threatening to invade with ground troops. He is pissing off NATO by threatening Greenland. He is picking fights with Canada, Mexico, Denmark, Colombia. JP Morgan says the world will run out of oil by mid-April.
It already is mid-April.
The global economy is about to collapse. Trump looks like the worst president in history, a complete buffoon, right? But what if that's the whole point? What if Trump wants to lose the war in Iran? What if he wants the American empire to collapse? What if he wants to destroy the global economy? Then he would be a genius. Let me explain. Right now the world gets 20% of its oil from the Middle East. Japan gets around 75% from the Middle East. India gets around 60%. China gets around 50%. Europe is also heavily dependent. But here's the thing, oil is not rare. Venezuela has the world's largest oil reserves. Canada has massive reserves. United States has massive reserves. Trump just took over Venezuela in January. He's threatening to take over Canada. You see where this is going. If Trump closes the Strait of Hormuz by fighting Iran, the Middle East oil stops flowing, but North America is still pumping. Suddenly Europe, China, Japan, South Korea, they all would need American oil. And not just oil, fertilizer too. The nitrogen for food production also comes from the Middle East. If that's cut off, where do they turn? There are only 2 options, North America and Russia. Trump is making the entire world dependent on the resources he controls. Now here is the genius part. Who owns the most US debt? Who's financing America's $39 trillion? It's Japan, China, Taiwan, South Korea, UK, France, Belgium, and Luxembourg, the same countries that need Middle East oil. There's been this fear that these countries would stop buying US Treasury bonds, that they would move to gold or Swiss francs, that America's Ponzi scheme would collapse. But now they need American energy. They need American resources. They can't abandon the dollar. They are trapped. Trump just turned America's biggest weakness, its debt, into its greatest weapon. By starting an unwinnable war in Iran, he's forcing the entire world to depend on North America. This isn't new. Putin already proved that this strategy works in Ukraine. Russia has been fighting for 5 years. It's a slow grind, but it has restructured Russia's entire economy around war production, drones, ammunitions, and military manufacturing. Russia went from importing Iranian drones to making their own and now exporting them to Iran. Putin's plan was that the world is collapsing anyway, so why not build a fortress, make Russia self-sufficient, control the resources, and weather the storm? America saw this and said, we can do the same. Greenland for rare earth minerals, Canada for oil and resources, Venezuela for oil reserves, Mexico for manufacturing. Panama Canal for trade control. So maybe Trump is not being reckless. He is actually building a self-sufficient North American fortress while the rest of the world burns. So yes, Trump looks like an idiot. Yes, he's losing the war in Iran. Yes, he's destroying the global economy. But if the goal was to end the American empire and rebuild it for Americans, to make the world dependent on US resources while everyone else collapses, then Trump might go down as the greatest American president in history. Maybe the New World Order is dead, and maybe we are heading towards a Trump world order.
So there you have that one. I thought that was interesting that that one ended with saying the Trump world order, which is actually what I said. I think it was last week or maybe 2 weeks ago. I said that in my video. And that little clip, I believe, even came out before America, USA, or Trump announced our blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, blockading all of Iranian ships going in and out, which has even more sent more oil tankers to the USA. And so I would say that that clip, the theories presented in that clip have been even more confirmed than when it even actually came out. Because I think that came out before the US blockade of the Strait of Hormuz was announced. And so we have one other clip that is very similar, but maybe with a slightly different take, talking about an energy war against China. So let's play that, and then I'll get to more of my own interpretations.
This war was never about Iran, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Everyone's focused on the missiles, the Strait of Hormuz, the oil price, but nobody's asking the only question that matters. Who actually gets hurt when Iran's oil disappears? Not America, not Europe, China. 80% of Iranian oil goes to Asia. China has been buying millions of barrels from Iran every single month, under the table, around sanctions, through back channels. Iran is China's cheap energy lifeline, and Trump just cut it off. He bombed Karg Island, the one port that handles 90% of Iran's oil exports. He didn't hit it by accident. He hit it because that's the pipe that feeds Beijing. But here's what makes this genius. Before he even touched Iran, he captured Maduro, took Venezuela, secured the largest oil reserves on the planet for the US. So when Iran's oil disappears from the global market, America has the replacement, China doesn't. Think about what that means. China's energy costs just exploded. Their factories, their manufacturing, their entire economic engine runs on cheap oil. And the cheap oil just got cut off. While America is sitting on Venezuela, on domestic production, on the strongest energy position in decades. Iran didn't lose this war. Iran was never the target. Iran was the move you sacrificed to take the queen. This was never a war in the Middle East. This is an energy war against China. And most people won't understand that until it's already over. Wake up.
There you go. Saying a lot of the same things I've been saying, but with a lot nicer graphics. And so it seems that between, even before these were made and the new blockade, it's making the rest of the world dependent on American energy. And I like that that second one brought in the sequence of first taking Maduro out of Venezuela, securing those oil reserves, then doing Iran. Both of those were sources of Chinese oil. And now we're talking about doing Cuba next, which is also potentially a country that could control the choke points to a lot of American oil in the Gulf. And so, he talked about securing the Panama Canal much earlier in this administration as well. And so you really see that this is like a global chessboard. It's not even a chessboard. I guess I'm not sure what game you call it more like, but it's like Trump is securing these critical energy passageways. And so that we can, do these things. And so I have a further take on this, which is that it always had to happen in term 2 with a president that is unrestricted by having a campaign to appease the normie masses. The average NPC cannot comprehend the magnitude of what must be done to eliminate the deep state. Like Morpheus said in The Matrix, those who are plugged into the Matrix will fight to defend it. What must be done would not necessarily be popular or something people would even vote for were they given foreknowledge of it. But that does not mean that what has to be done is not in their best interests. How do you save a population that is completely under MK Ultra mind control through a democratic process? The answer is you promise them an idyllic end state and skip over the ugly details of what it's going to take to actually get there. And that is exactly what is happening right now. So further details here on Iran being a possible proxy war with China, and we do have some pictures to go with this. This is sort of where we ended the video last week, with Trump agreeing to suspend the bombing in Iran for 2 weeks. Then they had the negotiations in Pakistan that J.D. Vance led last weekend, and that was followed with the negotiations failing to get a deal regarding the nuclear material that I believe America wants removed from Iran, which resulted in Trump announcing a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz after Iran talks fail. And now it's important to understand that this is not a full blockade. Obviously, we're not blockading our own allies in the Middle East. At the same time, this is exclusively a blockade of Iranian ships going in and out. I'm not sure the status of like Chinese ships trying to go in there and get Iranian oil. I believe those would probably be blockaded, but I also saw a tweet, I believe from China, saying that they would take military action if we impede their ships trying to get oil. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on with that. One account to follow for that is Sanctum on X. They posted like some details about the blockade, but of course they could be misrepresenting it. This is warfare. And so we have 𝕯𝖚𝖚 has been making some interesting statements on videos lately. You see more of what he says if you are a subscriber on ninoscorner.tv, which I am, because I always want to get the deepest take from Juan. Of course, he's one of the deepest insiders we have that acknowledges the Q operation and gives us details about what's going on behind the scenes. But he was saying that Iran was essentially a troll taxing oil price, driving up energy costs worldwide, and also causing the whole world to have to militarize because of them being a rogue terrorist, fundamentalist, Islamic, radical nation. And mentioned something about negotiations are with China over Iran. And so again, it's looking like this may in part be a proxy war with China. But at the same time, I do believe that, China, along with Putin, the going back to the alliance here, right in the middle there, the alliance that's like the main core white hat alliance taking down this deep state does involve Z from China, but trying to maybe rein in a few rogue parts of the Chinese Communist Party. So then again, mentioning that Iran did not necessarily close the Strait of Hormuz. Some say Lloyd's of London did because they won't insure the shippers. Another problem is that Iran has planted all these mines in the Strait of Hormuz, and they don't even necessarily know where the mines are, where they have floated off to. And so that's why the USA is doing mine sweeping operations in that region to make it safe for ships to pass, so that they can get insurance. I saw a tweet saying Iran played its biggest card, and the main result is that United States became the world's energy gas station, and China's cheap energy subsidy evaporated. So yeah, people are making a big deal about this, like the rerouting of oil tanker traffic from the Strait of Hormuz. Many of them are now coming to the Gulf of America, passing through Cuba, many passing through the Panama Canal as well. So you really see that this has been like a long-term strategic energy plan. And while the nuclear was an aspect of it, I think the energy may have been an even bigger aspect of it. And just the whole deep state aspect of it. I saw a tweet from Flopping Aces that explained this pretty well as well, which said, Trump just dropped the biggest puzzle piece yet, and it might be game over for China. While corporate media was busy calling him reckless, his team was quietly locking down both the world's critical energy choke points, Hormuz was already squeezed. Now Indonesia just signed a major defense deal with the US, giving America leverage over the Strait of Malacca, a skinny little passage that carries 80% of China's crude oil imports. In the last 30 days alone, beef deals, fossil fuel pacts, critical minerals, joining Trump's board of peace with glowing praise for his leadership, and now Pentagon-level military cooperation, all while Indonesia was rationing fuel and begging for relief from Trump's tariffs and America's oil. This is an existential chokehold. China's energy supply is now in American hands. Trump is not just walking and chewing gum, he's taking names and tightening the noose. Sleep well, Beijing. Again, that was a tweet from Flopping Aces. So I have a few other images here. This one showing Trump's victory over the city of London and its proxy Iran. This is what we've been talking about for a lot of this video. Let's see what else we have here. So I go now into more like a date timeline since my last video. On 4/10 was when we got the Trump tweet about the reset. World's most powerful reset is now being reported that he summoned all the banking leaders to discuss a global financial threat. I saw that in a few places, but I never really saw the results of that. Now 4/10 was also the day when he dropped the umbrella. Now, what's this? I have to save a tweet that I didn't save for the video. Is this the calm before the storm? I think it is. Ooh, internet's going very slow. Oh no, that was him dropping the umbrella. You guys have seen it. I retweeted it. Now, something else that I realized that I found very interesting, because it goes back to the core of the Q operation and the announcement of the Q operation in the storm, was that in the original press conference, which was, I think, more like a photo op between Trump and a bunch of military people and Melania, you can call it the calm before the storm photo op, like the original one from 2017, when Trump said, it's in the outro of every New Templars video, so I'm sure you've seen that. Trump says, you know what this is? The calm before the storm. And we all remember a reporter asking, what storm, Mr. President? What I just realized is that in that exact same video footage, after the press says, what storm, Mr. President? And there's sort of like a little pause, and people keep taking pictures and they're looking around. One of the reporters actually says, like, are you talking about Iran? Like, someone literally shouts out Iran in that press conference. And so that's just kind of a confirmation that Iran has always been in the mix, kind of even at the core of this Q operation from the earliest stage. Iran was key to unlocking the storm, is my interpretation there, that it was the deep state's insurance policy, their stamps on option, their collateral to either close the strait or destroy the world's economy, or unleash a nuclear weapon through their sleeper cells. Trump took away the last chip they had left, the last rogue terrorists army that the deep state commanded. So now it should be go time for much bigger arrests on the homeland to become public. Again, some of these arrests may have already happened, a lot of them, but to announce them, to tell the people and really see and feel the American public's reaction to these things. We've never had a former president go to military tribunal before. And so, all the military strategists and their AI computers are trying to figure out what exactly will happen, like how much fallout, blowback will there be. And we are going to find out, I think, probably before the midterms. Now, I know I've been saying this in every video, like, since 2017, but like this is the one. Like, not before my next video this is going to happen, but as this thing in Iran wraps up. Now, I think a big question is whether the arrests will happen before the 250 celebration, before July 4th or not. It would certainly be nice if they did, so we'd have more to celebrate then. And I think, it's crazy, like, we're already seeing all the plans and like the architectural details of this triumphant arch that Trump is building in DC. But it's like, other than QAnon people, like nobody really knows like what this is for. Like, what did he actually win? Other than like, what war did we win? I mean, we're not building this for World War II. It's a little bit late for that. Certainly not building it for like the Iraq War and the Afghanistan War. So like, what is this triumphant arch for? That, you know, we already have like the DC Cultural Commission is like approving it and whatnot. I think, you know, at some level, the high level, people do know what this is for, and it's going to be apparent. It's not just for America's general glory of surviving 250 years. Like, there is a big change that is happening, and this arch is going to commemorate. And hopefully more of that will be public by the time it's actually finished. Now, I'm not sure which day it was in this past week or so, but I do want to mention the tweet that Trump made about Tucker Carlson, like the other podcasters, Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Candace Owens, Alex Jones, Megyn Kelly, and didn't mention him, but I think you can throw Nick Fuentes into that pot of the conservative and some more conspiratorial podcasters that are former MAGA and current turncoats, or at least questioning this Iran conflict, which is okay to question. I don't even necessarily listen to any of these, but I did hear Nino Rodriguez read a few quotes from some of them. And I mean, they're going pretty hard in their anti-Trump rhetoric. It's not very patriotic at a time of war. However, I personally believe that this is all staged. You know, it's WWF, it's kayfabe, you call it, that Trump is not actually beefing with them. You know, it's similar to the beef with Elon Musk that he had that seemed to just get over it for no reason, like very quickly. You know, even though they're saying some pretty nasty things about him, I think that they are all part of the plan. At that level, having been in the mainstream news and Congress, I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene having been his like #1 cheerleader, what I think is going on is that that little group is actually sort of forming a new political party. And by Trump dissing them is actually making them more appealing to both Democrats and disgruntled Republicans. Now, among that group, I wouldn't necessarily say too many of them are being primed for necessarily like political candidacy. Other than Nick, I mean, Nick Fuentes seems like he's like prime material for being primed for political candidacy. I'm not sure with such radical views if he would ever win. Obviously, Marjorie Taylor Greene is another potential for political candidacy. But either way, they could eventually become the media of whatever new political party may be brewing. We obviously know the Democrats may never win another election. The whole party may be imploding imminently. But the Republicans as well, you know, there's so many rhinos still in the Republican Party and conflicts of interest that, you know, Trump, even though he is a Republican, or at least he has run as a Republican, he may be ultimately aiming to bury the Democrats and the Republicans, or at least the rhino Republicans, and we may see a new political party emerge. I mean, Nick Fuentes already calls his group America First. But the way Trump is throwing all these podcasters under the bus seems to me like he may be, in a way, endorsing them as a new political alternative. I mean, hopefully the Republican Party doesn't look so bad by the next midterms and not by 2028 as well. But we could be seeing a new political party emerging, is what I'm interpreting that as. He's setting them up for when the Democrats and the Republicans both are no longer viable political parties. And several of them may potentially be 2028 candidates. Now, on 4/12 was when negotiations in Pakistan with J.D. Vance failed, and Trump said that he would impose a naval blockade on the Strait of Hormuz. We've already been through, like some of these notes we've kind of already been through, that was not necessarily about Iran, it's about the whole world, and China especially. What is the USA's goal to get the strait? Wait, wasn't it was it the USA's goal to get the Strait of Hormuz blocked from the beginning as a 5G chess move to control the energy flow and supply around the world? By securing oil in Venezuela and blocking the Strait of Hormuz, Trump has effectively taken control of the world's oil supply, forcing countries to buy oil from the USA. An absolute masterclass by Trump. Now, I do question, does the USA really have enough energy, maybe with Venezuelan oil, but do we have enough energy to supply energy to the entire world, like without some of the biggest oil producers in the Middle East? And would that still drive up energy costs for us, is my question. Because, we are seeing high prices at the gas pump. And is this a viable long-term strategy? I mean, how long do we have to be the energy provider for the entire world? I guess until the storm is complete, or until one of these countries decides to actually reveal or publicly reveal different energy sources, such as fusion, or more advanced ones, 0-point energy, which do exist. And, we could be, in a way, pressuring the world to eventually reveal the energy breakthrough. That's another part on that's on the Maestro map, actually, is sort of like long-term plan for term 2. Energy breakthroughs, as well as AI discoveries. So energy, and that's on the newer, this is the new version. It says energy and propulsion breakthroughs. So talking about flying vehicles, anti-gravity, moving closer and closer to a Star Trek / hopefully not Star Wars future. Also on 4/12 was when Trump posted his 500-word evisceration of the Pope. And he's been causing quite a bit of controversy among Catholics and Christians this week, with the Catholics by dissing the Pope on Twitter, and with the Christians by posting the now infamous, we have it here, Trump the Doctor meme. So, this went up on 4/12. People's minds melted. Trump posts a meme of himself in white and red robes healing someone with his hands, and people's minds melt. Now, I'm sure you guys have heard a lot about this. It's really taken over the internet for the past 2 or 3 days. My interpretation of this, number one, is like, who is he healing here? I believe that he posted this insinuating that he is healing, or rather bringing back to life, JFK Jr. Now, some people have said that this looks like Epstein. It does look a little bit like Epstein, but I would say it also looks a lot of bit like JFK Jr. And now, I have not been a big proponent of the JFK Jr. is alive theory. We all thought that JFK Jr. was going to be his running mate in 2024, which that didn't happen. But actually, in the most recent 𝕯𝖚𝖚 interview on Nino's Corner, it was a 10-question rapid-fire interview. And one of the questions was, is JFK Jr. dead or alive? And usually when 𝕯𝖚𝖚 is asked that question, I've heard him ask this question several times in many different interviews. Usually he just says silence, like he will not say yes or no to anything related to that question. This time, however, he was a long silence, and then he said, if someone is still alive in your hearts and your memory, they are still alive. And so that to me was 𝕯𝖚𝖚 kind of giving a little confirmation that JFK Jr. is still alive. Not saying that he is JFK Jr., but just saying that he's still alive. And so that lends even more credence to that this meme that Trump posted as the healer may be related to JFK Jr. And another thing is that it may be related to medbeds, as Trump is the healer. I mean, I will be shocked if medbeds are released before the end of term 2, but that is the goal. We know these things are out there, and not even just medbeds, but all different stages of medbeds and more advanced healing technology that could be potentially rolled out at any time. However, whenever they are rolled out, big pharma will take a huge hit to their profits. So definitely waiting with eager anticipation for that. Get rid of these allergies, among other things. So pretty hilariously, Trump was asked about this meme the next day by a reporter asking him, why'd you post a meme of yourself portrayed as Jesus Christ? And he told the media that it was me as a doctor. It had to do with the Red Cross. And so now people are connecting that to the Red Cross. Now, he said that this meme had something to do with the Red Cross, but I mean, I see a nurse wearing blue, but I don't see anything depicting like the Red Cross. I don't see a Red Cross anywhere on here. So that may have been just a little bit of a bluff reply to the reporter. But people are also pointing out that there are Q posts drawing attention to the Red Cross as a corrupt organization involved in trafficking, laundering. It is ultimately a Swiss organization, which has been the epicenter of the New World Order. And so that could have been a little signal from Trump to get people looking into the Red Cross more. Now, another big point of contention in this meme has been the figure that's above Trump in the clouds. In the original version of this, there was 5 soldiers that were like, I guess, fallen soldiers, like become angels in the clouds. And when Trump reposted it, the central soldier had become this figure that nobody exactly knows what it is. Now, of course, like, Christians immediately say it's a demon. People have found this other image of some like online published book, and it's not like a real published book, but it has like, seems to be a more clear image of whatever that thing is. However, when I look at it, it seems just like AI madness for one thing, but it seems to be, it definitely has the crown like the Statue of Liberty. It looks a little bit like a battle droid, an elite battle droid from Attack of the Clones to me, with 4 arms, like combined with Goro and the Statue of Liberty. So it's like, I wouldn't read into it too much. It seems just like AI madness, but even Poppy Trump is like joking even more about this, posting even more blatant depictions of Trump as Jesus, with a little Red Cross on him saying, "I'm clearly depicted as a Red Cross doctor, you guys, fake news." And so he's just having fun trolling the fake news, essentially. Now, we also saw a very unusual press conference from Melania in the past week, where she came out of nowhere and did this presser in the White House talking about that photos of her and Epstein are AI, that she was not friends with him, and encouraging Congress to have an open hearing with the survivors, and I believe published the list of Epstein's clients, the other men or individuals that were involved in the abuse of these victims. And so obviously very mixed messaging. We've heard her husband oftentimes saying to get over the Epstein subject, it's not important, move on. Of course, when he says that, it only has the effect of people getting more into it. But, I am hearing that this is not over, that Epstein and, discovering who is on the client list will become a mainstream topic again, after this Iran thing has kind of distracted people from focusing on that. But the fact that Melania is coming out and talking about it, I certainly do not see this as like a marital conflict, source of conflict, that like they're not in allegiance on this. I think it's very obvious what Trump has said about, wanting to get over the Epstein files, and for people to just forget about it was obviously a bluff and a misdirection 5D chess move to get people to talk about it more. And so now we have Melania coming up as like the cavalry, bringing it back into the forefront and requesting it be even more in the forefront in front of Congress. So I love that. I love this image of Trump's silhouette with the red eyes. On 4/13, it was the day that the blockade began. the United States to blockade ships entering and exiting Iranian ports on April 13th began at 10 a.m. For 14, oh, that's today. I have two quotes from different tweets today that I thought were good. From David Sorensen, said, "Everything Trump does is an act against the global satanic elites. Everything, literally ending their rule of evil. We are witnessing history in the making." And then another quote here from Ezra, which I'm not sure if it's the real Ezra 𝖯𝖚𝖚, but it looks like Ezra 𝖯𝖚𝖚 on X, saying, "All of a sudden, the hysterical experts screaming out President Trump's lack of a plan in Hormuz have gone quiet. He had a plan from day one, and it's playing out in a very beneficial way to the USA." And so lastly here, this was actually an image that Trump tweeted as well. People didn't get quite as worked up and offended over this one, but we did have the Artemis 2 space mission come home. Whether it's real or not, we're still, like, I was watching the footage of them getting picked up from their little capsule in the ocean where it landed. And like I guess military people come up in a raft, in like an inflatable raft, and like open the hatch, and the military people climb in. I'm like, the whole process is like, how, this doesn't make sense. But I mean, I think it's fun to believe it actually went around the moon. And so, but Trump's posting a picture of Trump Hotel on the moon. I think we're a pretty long ways from there, but it's like he's just making light of it. And lastly, we have a picture of Jesus Christ ascending for Orthodox Easter. And so that's the end of the slideshow. That's the end of the notes. Oh, I forgot to do a promo for D.S.M.P. Check out deepstatemappingproject.com. It's located at the new dsmp.io. All the diagrams we've talked about in this video, from Maestro Map to, well, that's the deity chart. Maybe if you look at the deity chart long enough, you can figure out who's standing behind the clouds in that meme of Trump. We talked about Jassar map, world hierarchy pyramid. We've got it all on dsmp.io, including the new Jassara folders. And all of our packets have been newly updated with the folder, as well as our digital packets have been updated with slight alterations to the artworks that those include for the newest versions. I have a whole slew of new crystals listed from my personal collection. So that some of those crystals have been with me for years, and I'm finally giving them new owners. So check out the crystal section and check out this 1-minute promo of everything else that we offer.
Truth seekers, are you ready to uncover the secrets they don't want you to know? At dsmp.io, we're not just a store. We're a portal to the unknown. Prints and posters that unveil hidden truths, from ancient mysteries to modern cover-ups. Fill your space with tapestries woven with cosmic secrets. Tap into the energy of hand-selected crystals to awaken your mind. Explore exclusive packets packed with forbidden knowledge. Cleanse your body and spirit with products designed to strip away the toxins of a corrupted world. In the chaos of today, we give you the tools to stay sharp and to stay awakened. This is more than shopping. This is a movement. Step through the portal. Discover the truth. dsmp.io. Truth disguised as art.
All right, guys, dsmp.io would really appreciate the support. You see the new sovereignty certificate back there in the full size, and one of our other newest offerings is the sovereignty certificate as a mini poster, which actually comes with the compendium on the back of it. So even more sovereignty suggestions that are not legal advice on the back of that mini poster sovereignty certificate. And also, as a reminder, the big sovereignty certificate we now ship from our headquarters here in Cincinnati. And so that does come with the compendium packet, which is a whole 13 pages of sovereignty related information to come with the poster to help guide you guys. And I still need to set up my nonprofit 501c3. But that's most of it for this video. Seems to be happening pretty rapidly lately. And some powerful comms coming from the Maestro and the White Hats. The Iranian conflict, a little bit on pause for now. You know, hopefully it doesn't start up too massively again. And I do also want to mention that I've been seeing more and more horrific footage on Twitter of what Israel is doing to Lebanon. And I mean, what can you say? It's like, how can we not stop them from doing the same thing that they did in Gaza to Lebanon when the whole world is opposed to it? I saw footage from RT showing like an entire village in southern Lebanon just completely leveled by, I guess Israelis not even just bombing now. They've brought in their bulldozers and are just ripping down any remaining structures that the bombs didn't catch. And so would love to see the USA cut Israel off of funding, or at least put an ultimatum on them to say, we're not going to fund you if you're going to keep attacking all your neighbors and bombing these civilians. And there's been like 1 million people displaced in Lebanon. So I want to make it clear that I'm very much opposed to that. But there's not much you can do about it. You know, I was opposed to the Gaza conflict from the beginning as well, and made several videos from October 7th onward, just, you know, really making it clear that this is not a moral way to conduct warfare, of just bombing civilian populations in order to expand your territory or to build new, you know, Gaza Rivieras. So that seems to be ongoing, and, you know, wish we could find a way to stop it. Send a message to the White Hats that that should probably be stopped. So that's going to be it for this one. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. If anyone has any theories about Iran that I missed, leave them in the comments, or theories about the master plan here. Very interesting times. And I'm really looking forward to when we do have the world in a secure enough spot that we can finally proceed with the public unveiling of those arrests and see how those No King protesters like it. So that will be it for this one, and we'll see you guys on the next video. One more reminder to head over to dsmp.io, and I hope you like my new plant in the background. So we'll see you next time. New Templars.
He could have undermined the messaging so much that he can actually control exactly what people think.
You've been living in a dream world, Neo. This is the world as it exists today.
Welcome to the future of finance. Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment with a new government controlled by you, the American people. Comic book store. What store is it? You'll find out. You'll find out.
Just now we saw a black fighting aircraft fly right through those